Hi there guys, I'm Nikhil from GreedyTech, and in this video, I'll be doing the complete review of the Motorola E7 Plus. This phone is available only in one variant with 4GB of RAM and 64GB of storage. It's priced at 9,500 rupees, but right now because of the sale, it's currently being sold at 9,000 rupees. By the way, I've already posted the unboxing video for this phone, so check that out for complete specifications, physical overview and initial impressions. Now with that said, I'll start off the review with the design and build. Now this is how the phone looks on the front. It's just like any other candy bar phone, and this is how the phone looks on the back. It is a plastic back panel with a 3D curved wood and a two-tone finish. This phone is available in two colors, misty blue and twilight orange, and we have the misty blue color. It has a gradient color background which ranges from dark blue to light blue. And as I've said, it's a plastic back panel with a nice matte finish. It does attract fingerprints but not as much as a glass panel. Central frame is made of aluminum and it feels pretty solid. As for the buttons, they have a nice soft feel to it, not a clicky feel, just a soft feel to them. Power button has a nice texture to it so you can easily trace it, and you get an extra button at the top for Google Assistant. I really appreciate that extra button, but it's kinda hard to reach when you're using your phone single-handedly. But I wish Moto could have put it on the left side. Besides that, the regular functionality of the buttons or the click feel is pretty good. Even the Google Assistant button works pretty well. Now this phone has a thickness of 9.18 mm and weighs 200 grams. Yes, it kind of feels thick and has a bit of weight to it, but that's because of the massive battery it has. In hand it fits pretty perfectly, especially because of that 20:10 aspect ratio, and you can use it single-handedly if you have bigger hands like mine. Now in the hardware department, this phone has all the basic sensors. It also has FM radio, Bluetooth 5.0. It has dual SIM support with native video calling support, and unlike other phones in this price segment, this phone has a hybrid SD card slot, which is the only con for this phone as of now. If you're a normal user, its inbuilt 64GB of storage should be sufficient for most people, so that's not really a big problem. Now as for the biometrics, this phone has a fingerprint scanner on the back, and it is pretty fast, and every time you use the fingerprint scanner, you also get a haptic feedback, which is very soft. I wish it was a bit more stronger. As for face unlock, yes it has it. It's slightly slower than the fingerprint scanner. It takes like a second to unlock the phone in good lighting conditions. In low lighting conditions, it is pretty slow and sometimes doesn't work. You really have to bring your phone to your face. So overall face unlock works, but I would rather use a fingerprint scanner instead. Besides that, haptic engine on this phone is also pretty decent and it's better than most phones in this price segment, and most importantly, it doesn't feel cheap at all. Finally, even the auto brightness sensor on this phone works pretty well. Now when it comes to display, this phone has a 6.5-inch HD Plus display. Moto calls it the Max Vision display. With this display, color reproduction is pretty good. Even the brightness levels are good. Sunlight legibility is decent. It also has wideband L1 support, so we can watch high definition videos on Netflix and Amazon Prime. Overall display looks pretty good. Colors are pretty vibrant. And as for the pixelated issue, for most of the time I couldn't notice any pixels. Only while playing games like Asphalt 9 with a lot of visuals, you can notice the screen to be pixelated. For regular usage, whether it's for browsing or watching videos, most of the time I didn't have any issues with the display. As for cameras, I've already posted a dedicated camera review, so check that out for more information. But here's a quick recap. This phone has a dual camera setup on the rear with a 48MP primary camera and a 2MP secondary camera for taking portrait shots. For selfies, it has an 8MP camera with f2.2 aperture. By the way, this is one of the few phones to sport a 48MP camera under 10,000 rupees price segment. Pictures from rear camera have good color reproduction and good sharpness. For scenes with high dynamic range like these, exposure control and dynamic range is pretty good. Pictures look slightly dull, but the sky is very well captured. Even in low lighting conditions, it does a good job when we use the night vision. Now as for selfies, they do look pretty good even in low lighting conditions. Even though they are a bit softer, they have good color reproduction and good white balance. As for the video recording, we can record video in 1080p resolution, but there's no electronic image stabilization, so I wouldn't recommend you to move around while recording video. Interestingly, we also have time-lapse for the front camera, and it looks pretty good and pretty usable. So overall, both the front and rear cameras are pretty good on this phone. Definitely worth the price. Now when it comes to performance, this phone sports a Snapdragon 460 processor with Adreno 16 GPU, with 4 GB of RAM. For a quick reference, these are the benchmark scores. Now when it comes to performance, it's pretty decent. For a normal user, it's pretty smooth, there are no hiccups, no lag whatsoever, and you can play smaller games without any issues as well. And because of that HD resolution, in fact gaming performance on this phone is pretty decent. I've already made a dedicated video for the gaming review, so you can check that out for more information. As for memory management, once again it's pretty good. It was easily able to hold 6 to 8 applications. Most of the time all the applications that I use were always in the memory. At least none of the applications had to refresh or restart. We can play games on this phone, but I wouldn't recommend this phone only for playing games. If you are really interested in playing games and want stock Android, I would recommend you to go with something like a Moto G9. It's a much better option with better specs, with a little bump in the price. Now the overall performance of the phone might be slightly lacking when you compare it with other phones with MediaTek processors like the Redmi 9 or the Redmi 9 Prime. But for a normal user, for regular usage or even for light gaming, performance offered by this phone is definitely more than sufficient. Now as for software, this phone is running pure stock Android based on Android 10 with September security patch. And from the date I've unboxed this phone till now, I didn't get any new updates, but I didn't have any software issues either. New navigation gestures work pretty well, and it gives you a much more immersive experience while using a bigger screen. Here's a quick demo. To go home, you can swipe from the bottom of the screen. For recent apps, you can swipe and hold, and you can swipe from the left side or right side to go back a step. Next, we can also swipe left and right on the bottom part of the screen to quickly switch between applications. And finally, for the Google Assistant, you can swipe diagonally from the left or bottom corner of the screen to trigger Google Assistant. These gestures work really well, and the overall animations are also pretty smooth without any glitches. Motorola has also added their Moto app, which brings in a lot of customization features, Moto actions, and Moto display features. As for gestures, we have only one, where we can do a chopping gesture to toggle the torch, and we also have the peak display feature, which is the most popular feature on Motorola phones, and it also works pretty well. As for updates, this phone will receive Android 11 update and will get security updates for the next 2 years. By the way, there is no bloatware or any kind of random notifications on this phone, and unlike other phones, this phone is actually pretty clean. So in the software department, no issues so far, and if you like stock Android, then you'll definitely have no complaints. Now as for the audio department, this phone has a single speaker at the bottom, and it is pretty loud enough for regular media consumption, ringtones or alarms. At 100% volume, there is a bit of audio distortion, so if you set it about 85 to 90%, it should be good enough. Here's a quick audio sample. We also got an audio jack at the top, and the audio experience over headset is also pretty good. I don't have any complaints. Now finally, in the battery department, this phone has a massive 5000 mAh battery, comes with a regular 10 watts power adapter inside the box. It takes about 2 hours to get 80% of charge, and as for battery life, it is pretty good. If you're a normal user, it can definitely last you 2 days. And even if you're a heavy user, it can last you an entire day. For my regular usage, I got a screen on time about 6 to 8 hours, depending upon my usage. In my gaming review, for about 15 minutes of continuous gameplay, phone used about 4% of battery, which translates to a pretty good battery life. So guys, to conclude, for about a price of 9,000 or 9,500 rupees, this is definitely a pretty good phone if you're looking for a phone with stock Android, good cameras, and a bigger battery. If you want my suggestion, I'll suggest you to get the Moto G9 instead. This is a good phone, but Moto G9 is definitely a better phone, and it's definitely worth the extra money. So guys, what do you think about this phone? Do let me know by commenting below this video, and if you're planning to buy this phone, use the link in the description. It always helps the channel. If you want us to make any specific video, tweet out to us with the hashtag ASKGREEDYTECH on Twitter, and we will try to make it as soon as possible. I'm Nikhil from GreedyTech signing off. Have a nice day.